and welcome back to another Sims 4 video. We're going to go ahead and do a roofing tutorial, I guess you could say. I guess it's kind of, yeah, it would be mostly a roofing tutorial. This house, I did not build it. This was on the gallery and it was built by Nick0712, and I will link the house in the description below and along, that way if you want to download this you can. I'm just using it as an example. I didn't have any houses yet in my own library that would make a very good example, and I didn't really want to build one, at least not right now. Basically, this roofing tutorial is going to cover how to create an upstairs, in the upstairs portion of a house that would be considered more like it wouldn't be considered a full two-story. They would be considered half stories, and what I mean by that, in case you're not familiar with the difference between a full two-story or a half two-story, when they're only considered half, that is when the upstairs does not cover the entire downstairs living area. And in The Sims 4, it is a little bit more time consuming, I think, anyway, at least the way I have figured out how to do them, and it can be a little bit more difficult, especially when you want to actually play in the house. If you don't do this right, you're not going to be able to play inside the upstairs. It's going to be completely covered by the roof. So, but we're going to create a upstairs in this house, and it's going to pretty much look exactly the way you see it here. I'm going to add probably another one of those things out the back. I can't think now, bump out looking thing or whatever. It's too early in the morning for me today. But we're going to put one in the back just for a little bit of added space. But this is going to be a half-story home roofing tutorial. I'm not really too sure what to call it, and I'm not really sure what I'm going to call it when I upload it on the video or up on YouTube. But we're going to go ahead and get started. I went ahead and put this house in unfurnished, but as you can see, one of the things that comes a problem is this house, the upstairs, is plenty big enough up here to actually have a living space, but because of the way the roofing is done, of course the person who created the home did not intend for it to have any living space upstairs. All the living space is downstairs, but if you're like me and you like to utilize the upstairs, all this wasted space is the way I see it, and it's room for expanding. If your Sims start having a larger family, you can move upstairs with some of the bedrooms, and it's just kind of aggravating in The Sims 4 how you really can't play in the upstairs depending on how the roofing was done. So we're going to take a look at how to do that. So here's of course the downstairs. If you're just kind of wondering, I put it in without any furniture, so because we're just going to work with upstairs. I didn't want to have anything else in the house really to cause any problems if there were any. So what we're going to do, the reason why you cannot play upstairs or make more rooms upstairs, even though these are considered rooms, even if you were to extend these areas up here and create rooms, this roof is still going to be in the way, this big piece here. So we're going to go ahead and remove it. And I'm not going to remove all these roofs completely, but because they are on this floor, and what causes the problem is whenever you have the roof on the first floor here and it goes through the the upstairs, most of the time, depending on the roof and how big it is, it's going to cover the entire area. In this case, of course, it did cut it out, which sometimes it does do, but so we don't have to worry about it. And you're going to want to paint the inside, of course. We're just going to bump this back for now out of the way. I'm not going to get rid of it because there's really no need. And I want to be able to copy the roof color because I like the roof color. This house, I really like this house. I ended up downloading it for my own personal use, and I really like the way it looked on the outside. I personally would never live in a Cape Cod. That is what this kind of house is a Cape Cod style. just because I'm not really a fan of the way they work the upstairs. But of course, these can also be called bungalows. Bungalows is a smaller type of home, and if it's a small Cape Cod, it's also considered a bungalow, if you were wondering. So we're going to go ahead and create the upstairs. So when you're going to do a half story, you got to pretty much plan out your upstairs before adding the roof, because if you go and add the roof in, you're going to have a really hard time finding where to put your cursor and where to put the rooms in. It's going to be a little bit harder to see. It's not quite as easy. You can take the walls down completely like this, and you can, build inside of the room, which is fine. But sometimes, it's just not, I don't know. You can just go ahead and take the roof off like I did and go ahead and do it. So we're going to go ahead and create the upstairs itself. So we already have technically 2 areas that are considered a room. I think if I put the wall here, it shouldn't come out of the ceiling. At least I don't think it will. If it does, we can always adjust it. That is not a problem. So we should be able to go here. And of course, I moved this back because I want to be able to paint the interior walls. Did you ever put in an upstairs and no matter what you did, it kept wanting to color it the exterior wallpaper? Well, I will show you how to avoid that when we get farther into it. There's actually a way to avoid that from happening. So we're going to go ahead and come out. I think I want to go, no, I'm going to go right there. I'm just kind of seeing where I want to put this for sure. A lot of times these homes, they're going to go all the way down from one side to the other of the peaks of the upstairs. Whoops, I just put that a little bit way too far. It actually took me several tries, trial and error basically. I don't build in The Sims 4 too much, but it's taken quite a bit of trial and error for me to finally get this figured out for sure, because I would run into things and I would be like, well, why in the world did it do that? Like, it really drove me nuts for it to consider my interior wall exterior, and I couldn't paint it. It was really, I hated that. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and do a tutorial on it for you. That way, if anybody else is having a problem, they can watch this video and they will see how to do it. Now, what we're going to do is basically, we want to be able to continue to see all of this. We don't want roof going into that and causing a problem. And if you're unsure exactly what it is I am talking about, if you were to put this roof on the first floor section here and then take it across here and here, just like it was done in the original build, this right here would be the original roof that they had on prior before deleting it. And as you can see, regardless of the fact that this is considered a room down here, and as you can see, it is all considered a room, we still cannot see inside of here in order to play and move our Sims, or let alone to decorate. Like I said, if you take the walls down completely, oh my goodness, if I can get to it. There we go. You can actually see where your living space is, but that still kind of makes it difficult for decorating, because when you try to put the walls back up, the roof is just going to come back up. So that just gets to be a real pain in the butt. At least I think it is anyway. When I first started playing The Sims, Sims 4, that really drove me nuts, because in The Sims 3, it's not exactly like that. The roof will just cut out for you, and it's a lot quicker, I think. So, what we're going to do is we're going to create this portion right here, the very front. And you're going to basically put this in sections. And what I mean by sections is you're going to look at it as sections as how deep the sections are. So like we have one section here that's this deep, and then in front of the window is a section here that is not quite as deep right here, and then you're going to look at this as another section being a little bit deeper, and then this one not as deep, And of course the last one here a little bit deeper. So if we look at this, we're going to have a total of, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections just for this front. Maybe there's a better way to do it. I don't really know. This is just the way that I have found. And I actually find it rather easy. So we're going to go ahead and put one in. Now, in order to keep the roof from going, and you know how I told you about painting it and that you just can't paint it because it stays the same color? That's all based on your placement. Like I said, a bunch of trial and error before it dawned on me all of a sudden, oh my gosh, that's exactly why it's doing that. If you were to place this in and you put it in accidentally too far, and you go and you adjust it, and then you go and, you know, and things like that, the fact that, remember that green line here? See if I can get a hold of it. Oh my goodness. See if I can move it. There we go. The green line. You see how it goes? Look at the green square. If I move my cursor, it's just going to move the whole entire thing on you. But the green line there, the square, if it goes past the wall of your upstairs or whatever, even the downstairs, if you happen to be doing something downstairs that requires this, it is going to recolor your wall as your exterior. And that drove me absolutely bonkers the one time when I was trying to redecorate and I couldn't figure out, why is this happening? I like to start back, honestly, just to make sure it doesn't. But as you can see how the door and the window is highlighting, it's going to delete it. That's because it's assuming that I want to put it on this porch. I'm just going to move it over a little bit to kick it up. See how it moved up? That way I know it is on the second floor. And basically, I'm just going to move it only to make sure the line does not go past this wall or this wall, because I just want to ensure that it's not going to cause that problem when I go to redecorate inside. So I'm going to turn the camera just a little bit, because again, I do not want this wall to go past. We're going to just carefully move it, watch the green line, and make sure it just goes right up to the wall, because we don't want to have that problem. So when we move, whoops, oh my goodness, when we move on to the rest of the roof, I won't go in quite so much detail exactly what I'm doing. I just want you to make sure you see here that we are just moving it into place, and we are not going past any of the walls because we want to make sure we can recolor them later. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and do the next part. Like I said, I like to just kind of stuff it somewhere out of the way, and then we're going to move it into place. So I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller for the time being. And I'm going to carefully move it over. Again, do not go past and then stretch it back, because the fact that we went past this and then stretch it back, we will not be able to color this wall here or this front wall here. At least I'm pretty sure not the front wall. So we're going to base it off that green line or the green square. Zoom in there for you. The green square, if you can see it, that lets you know where the wall of the roof is going. So we're going to move that exactly right over there to that. And we're going to bring this all the way to where it only made one square wide. And we're going to take this back also only to this. We're not going to continue past, only to this wall. So we're going to bring it over and take care of that. And that's how you're going to do those sections that are a little bit deeper. Now let's take a look at this section here that's a little bit smaller. Again, I just stick it somewhere really far back, and I like to make sure I don't go into that wall, just to extra assurance. And then we're going to, as you can see, the green line tells me that I did not, but we want to go to the width of the, I am still lost of words, I can't think of what them are called. Whatever, you know what I'm talking about, these things. Make sure they're the same width. Those are 2 square wide, so our roof needs to be as well 2 square wide. And again, I'm just going to move it to where it just lines up to that wall. I'm going to come back and I'm going to shrink it to where the line goes just to the edge of the wall there. And as you can see, as I'm doing this, it is creating the same look in separate pieces. And as you can see right here, it cut out. We can see through there now. Before, this would have been all roof. So now we're going to go ahead and I'll try to go a little bit quicker because I'm not explaining quite as much in detail, but we're going to go ahead and put this roof in. Now that you know what I'm doing and why I am doing it this way, you can probably follow along a little bit easier on what it is I am doing. So we're creating that roof, and then we got to bring it back, and now we got to do the smaller one down here. And let's see, you don't have to shrink it. Like if I wanted to leave it as wide as it is, you can. It can go into the other roof down here on the bottom. Just make sure it's not going past your these things, the wall. Oh my goodness, it is still not coming to me. After I do this video, I'm gonna be like, oh, that's right, that's what them are called. Right now, it's just not coming to me. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing on this side here. We're gonna base it off of how wide right here. Don't worry about this bump out section here. We will do that later. Basically, look at it as this is a solid square going all the way across. So we're gonna line it up with this line here, basically. But again, I don't want to place it in too far, because if we go have this wall in too far, then of course we will not be able to recolor it, and then that just means more fiddling with the roof, and I don't like doing that sometimes, because sometimes the roof in The Sims 4 makes me mad. I like how I can move it and do different things with it, but sometimes it just really makes me mad. So we're going to shrink this down to where it lines up with this. Because again, you want to look at these as different sections. This section is deeper, this section is not as deep, this section is deeper. So we're going to go ahead and place another one. And of course, I can't go over here, because in order to get it to fit up there, of course, I just do this to ensure, because I don't want to have to go back and change the roof just because I placed it the very first initial time and I can't recolor nothing. I've had to do that before. I thought I was putting it exactly where I wanted, and then I finally got to the decorating portion and the roof was in the way and it was just making me mad. So we're just going to move. A lot of times I like to turn it because you can't always see exactly where it's going through the roof. Not quite as easy sometimes. If you look at it from the top, we can see right down in there and see exactly where we're putting it. Okay, so that takes care of, oh my goodness, if I can get it turned, there we go. That takes care of that portion. Now what we're going to do is now you got to put the roof on the top portion here. I may have to move that wall in. I'm not really too sure. We'll see, because I don't want it to pop out. The only area I want it to stick out is the areas that I purposely did that. So we're just going to put the exact same roof here that was original with the peak. So, okay, yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to have to move this interior wall in, which isn't a problem. Just go down a level, because now we can. We went down a level and we can see our inside. We're going to bump this back one because I want it to line up easily. I don't really want a complicated roof here to where to do all kinds of different adjustments, and that's fine. So now you just go ahead and move that back like we did. And now we're just going to move the roof over one time here and this roof over one time here. And now, let's see, let's take a look at it. It still didn't line up for me. Imagine that. It's going to be complicated on me this time. Maybe we just need to move it. No, I don't think it's going up. No. Let's see. Let's go ahead and try to... Maybe this was fine. Maybe I just need to move it up. For some reason, it's just not wanting to line up for me this time. Oh my goodness. Have you ever noticed when you actually want to show somebody how to do something, that's when it decides it's not going to be what you want it to do? I don't know why that ain't lining up right. Okay, oh my goodness. I have no idea what I was thinking. Here I am looking at it all dumbfounded, wondering why that's not working out. Well, of course it's not going to work out, right? Remember when I shrunk... Let's go ahead and put that back. Remember when I shrunk the interior wall here? And let's see. There we go. Get the walls back up. I made this a little bit smaller. Yes, that is what you want to do. Oh my goodness. Let's go ahead and move them back the way we did. And the reason why I didn't line up is because I didn't move the roof on the top. You got to move the top roof too. You can't just move the bottom ones. There we go. And it's got this gap, as you can see. Yeah, the roof's lined up good, but we had that gap, and the reason why is because we didn't move the wall. So you just got to move the wall over one. That'll take care of that. And then same with this one here. You just got to move it over. Here. So there we go. And now it's in. Now as you can see, it pretty much is the exact same roof as what we had when we started. But this time we can go inside and we can play in the interior and not have to worry about the roof cutting out. Okay, we're going to go ahead and we're just going to finish this piece off here real quick. A lot of times a Cape Cod will also have them on the back as well. Sometimes it even covers the entire, all the way down the length of the house. That just gives it more living space. So a lot of times a Cape Cod will have either a section here, or maybe it'll be the same as the front, or it'll be the entire width. Cape Cods are pretty simple to create. So what we're going to do with this is, when you take this all the way across, this is one thing that irritates me the most about The Sims 3 and Sims 4, is this piece going through. You're not going to have that in an actual house. It's not going to look like that. It's actually quite unfinished. There's actually, in other building programs, actual architectural programs, when you're doing the roof, is it has one like this, but then the point will actually continue out and the diagonal goes down to this point. That way when you drag it over, it goes into the roof, but then follows the roof down. If that makes sense, that's normally what you would have. And Sims 3 and Sims 4 do not have that option. So it makes doing this a little bit more difficult, but it is possible. I'm not going to say it's going to be perfect looking, but you can make it much better. We're going to use the hipped roof, half-hipped roof. If you're wondering how to create this without the eave spouts or whatever those are called going through right here, you're going to use the half-hipped. I believe you can use the same one in The Sims 3, but we're working with The Sims 4, so we'll just take a look at that. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to turn this around to where you see the sloped side here. We want that to face the main portion of the house. So we're going to go ahead and put this in, put it in. And what's kind of nice about these is we're going to have the same kind of roof pitch, but they're not going to have the overhang. So we're going to extend this one all the way in. As you can see, it's giving us the same look. I gotta make it the same width. We just don't have it the same width yet. There we go. Now we have it the same width. And then, of course, you wouldn't have quite, well, yeah, we're going to go ahead and extend it. Let's take a look. Extend it one more time. Yeah, that should be fine. We're going to extend it one time. A little bit going in. It isn't going to be quite so bad. There's not anything you can do about it. You're going to want to have that instead of this, because in real life that would just cause water damage and a lot of issues. So in the game, just to make it look a little bit better, we're going to go in just one. And as you can see, now we have, once we recolor it, you're not even going to know. Now it looks like I have the right roof. Remember I told you technically in architectural programs you're going to have this portion here, but then it's going to go into a diagonal right here. That is what we're trying to create, because we don't actually have the roof. So we just made one ourselves. Since we don't actually have it, we just made it ourselves. So, let's see, did I forget anything? Oh, we want to add, how about we add a porch. Now what I want to do with the porch roof, you don't have to with Cape Cods, but some of them do have, and I just like porches anyway. Let's go ahead and bring this in because I took it back. This is fine. Just again, don't take it past the wall. Whatever you do, don't take it past the wall, because then you won't be able to color it, and then you'll just be pulling your hair out like I was at one time before. So we're going to go ahead because I want to be able to specifically see the roof pattern, or the roof for sure exactly. I think this is the roof they used. Yes. So in order for me to see it much better, I'm going to go ahead and recolor it. That way when I add a new roof to it, it'll actually be a different color and I'll be able to see it more clearly and easier. So we're going to go ahead and just recolor this really quick. And now we're going to go in and we're going to create the roof for the porch. Now, porches aren't actually that difficult. It's just a matter of using the correct pieces. We could use this piece all the way through and just lower it. But me, as picky as I am, this overhang inside of this portion here on the right would drive me absolutely bonkers. I would hate seeing this roof popping through, especially once you add the trim. That's really going to stick out and be very tacky. That isn't too bad, again, but when we add the trim, it is going to poke through. We don't want that, so we're going to bring that in. We might take it in a little bit more. We'll see. I do a lot of trial and error. So we'll give it a try. We'll see what that looks. What we're going to do for this, a darn tree is in the way. Oh my goodness. I hate, those don't go away quite as quickly as they do in The Sims 3. Okay, whoops. And it bounced on me there. Let's click on this. Let's bring this roof back up just a little bit. I wanted to go a little bit farther. I wanted to go up to the window. A lot of times that's where they're going to go. We're going to create, and this right here, overhang here, would actually drive me nuts too. We're going to try to minimize the way that looks. And by doing that is we're going to grab this ball thing, whatever it is, and we're going to drag it down. And that's going to create whatever this is, a slope. Then we're going to take this arrow up and we're going to hold the Alt key down. We're going to grab it and we're going to slowly move it. And this will let you move the roof in much smaller increments than before by holding the Alt. Kind of like when you're doing move objects. It's the same thing. So I'm just going to click somewhere. I want this to line up as perfect as I can because that's just the way I am. There we go. And that gives it a much nicer slope into the existing roof prior. And then what we're going to take on this is, because again, like I said, this right here on the outside would actually drive me nuts. Since we made these in smaller pieces, it works out because if you do this on a full-size piece all the way across, it would affect the whole thing. But since this is in pieces, we can take, see if I can get a look at this here. This arrow here will change your overhang. So drag it up, and now it doesn't go into the porch quite as bad. So we've minimized, I can't say you're going to get rid of everything completely, but we have minimized it. So now let's take a look over here. Yes, this is exactly what I thought was going to end up happening. So we are going to, you can't go all the way in with the roof. I mean, ideally you'd want to be able to extend it to where it went all the way and worked up nice right there, but as you can see, it goes in and we want to minimize that. How are we going to do that? We are going to use a different roof. Let's see, let's take a look at using probably the hipped roof. Probably, because it won't have an overhang. So, I don't know, I don't think that's exactly what I want. Okay, never mind. I do want the half gable. I'm just trying to think here what I'm trying to do. We're going to use the same one, but because we're putting it in pieces, we will be able to change the overhang. Remember how we use these arrows to remove the overhang? That's exactly what we're going to do with this too. Now, in order to get this to line up, you're going to want to have it exactly the same as before. Did I just go past? I don't want it to do that because, again, you want to be able to recolor it. Yeah, that looks like it'd probably be alright. So we're going to go ahead and bring it down. And then we're going to grab this and we're going to dip it down. I probably should have, now that I think about it, I shouldn't have dipped this down yet. It's easier if you do them both at the exact same time. Well, not exactly the exact same time, but you do one and then you do the other. Oh, that's pretty close. I think we got it awfully close. I mean, there's a little bit... oh, there we go. Oh, no, now we're still... something. Not quite right. Okay, I think I know what it is. I think we need to go down just a little bit. So what's nice about holding the Alt, we can do such a minute, small amount. There we go. Looks much better. So now that continues to go in here. Now we're going to remove the overhang. And now that is gone. Again, you're going to have a little bit there. There's nothing we can really do about it in the game. What is this caused from? Oh, that. Huh. I never noticed that before. Oh well. Not much you can do sometimes in the game. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to recolor the roof the same color as the rest of it. Make sure we get that little piece in there. And then we're going to put on the same roof trim, which I think they used the big one. Okay, that came in. So we're going to have to just lower it a little bit more. That's not a problem. Let's go ahead and get this to color. Sometimes I hate putting this on. There we go. There we go. Make sure I got it all here. This of course won't have any. You can see it has a little bit of the overhang, but it ain't too bad. With the trim added, it kind of makes it blend in a little bit more. Okay. Oh, don't want to forget that piece. Alright. Unless the look of this is what you're looking for, basically that pretty much just tells me that, as you can see, we're not quite perfectly aligned. That's okay. Just come in, grab your arrow key, hold your Alt, move it down, and just keep on moving it down until that disappears. There we go. And that's a little bit off. There we go. Now it's a nice smooth. You see how nice and smooth that line is? That's what I tend to look for. If you're wondering why am I spending so much time in my speed builds on something, now you know why. I am just that picky on it. Little things like that just irritate me, I guess. There we go. Okay, that's just a line of the roof. Oh, that thing's sticking out still. Right there. Let's go down. Whoa, I might have went down a little bit too far. Was such a nice line. Why did it have to go and do that? Would be nice if we could like draw it on these things instead of it automatically, because something like that is really irritating. Let's try taking it back one. Will that? I guess probably not, considering I really don't have it that far. Now, can we just go in? Because I really don't want that roof trim being there. I don't think I'm going to be able to get rid of it for sure 100%. Because I really like that line we had. It was such a nice straight line. Let's go ahead and just bring it down. Yeah, there it goes. It's gone. Okay, well, I guess I'll just have to put up with the line not being perfect right there because it got rid of it. I mean, it looks like it could go down. I don't see why going down just a little bit would cause a... Yeah, for some reason the going down is what's causing it to come out. That makes no sense. We'll just go ahead and leave it there because that gets rid of it. I can deal with, I think, the uncrookedness there better than that white piece sticking out. So we'll go ahead and bring this down right there. And looks like it still needs to come down just a touch. to line up. And that is where, and that's coming through, of course, from the one in the back. Okay, and then all you would have to do is add some poles. I would probably put one here, and then again for extra support, and then another one here if I were to do it, also for more support. And that is going to be my tutorial. Of course, recolor everything, add your windows, and that is my tutorial on how to do a roof on a half-story house. So if you enjoyed this and you would like to see more videos in The Sims 4 on tutorials, give it a thumbs up so I know that you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below if you have any other questions, and I will see you next time. Have a wonderful day. Bye.